Palestine. Every news source in the world is covering the conflict between Palestine and Israel, but let me provide some insight into what's really happening and how Israel are anything but in the right. In the 19th century, what's now known as modern-day Israel and modern-day Palestine, this piece of land was part of the Ottoman Empire for centuries. The land was diverse and contained many Muslims and Christians and some Jews that all lived in peace. During this period, residents of the area decided to form a nationality of their own, rather than identifying themselves as Arabs. They became Palestinians, and a piece of land becoming Palestine over time. After the Ottoman Empire fell in World War I, the British took control over Palestine, the League of Nations issuing a British mandate for Palestine. Years after Palestine is decided to be split into different strips, as there was tension between the local Palestinians and the Jews from Europe, both having clashes with each other and the British. The local Palestinians and the Jews had clashes mainly due to many things, but the main thing was because of Zionism. Zionism is the belief in the Jewish re-establishment of previous Jewish land. Because of this, an agreement was attempted to be made in which both the Jews and the Palestinians could have their pieces of land, and Jerusalem could be shared between the both of them and hold international status. After conflict, this deal was agreed upon. However, not everything seemed to be what was expected to be. I'm here with a Palestinian whom I met whilst I was in Palestine. I'm going to be interviewing you. How long have you and your family lived in Palestine?
My family and I have lived in Palestine for generations.
Okay. As a Palestinian, how has life been within Palestine?
Well, life has been horrible. We've been abused, I've seen people murdered, and such other horrible acts, all caused by Israeli officials. So I'll tell you a quick story, a terrible story in fact. My best friend and I were playing one day at our school playground. We're having fun, then all of a sudden I just heard a gunshot, and my friend's lifeless body collapsed to the ground, covered in blood. Followed by that, seconds after, I hear more gunshots and more bodies collapsing onto the ground. In a state of shock and panic, I looked up and I saw an Israeli sniper with a wicked, horrible smile.
Thank you for your time.
You are welcome.
After Israel and Palestine became their states, Israel ended up befriending many powerful allied nations, such as France, the USA, and the UK, mainly being the US, which ended up providing with billions of dollars worth of military weaponry, alongside military training for Israel's military and its police force. Whilst this was happening, the teaching of Zionism grew even more, and as the population and weaponry grew, so did this mindset. The result was Israel ended up attacking many Palestinian states and took control of more of Palestine's land. Israel had many powerful countries as allies and forcefully used them as a means of stealing more Palestinian land. Sadly, not all Palestinians could move out of these pieces of land, so many of these Palestinians were racially and physically abused and kicked out of their homes. Whilst this happened, Israel had gained complete control of the media within Israel and Palestine, and can cut power completely from areas within Palestine. Because of our alliances with major countries, many popular news networks attempted to avoid reporting on the topic too much, or they provided false data to make Israel look like the victim and Palestine look like the culprit. Now I'm here with a family from Palestine and a person whom I met whilst traveling to Palestine. You just heard, Palestinians are treated horribly by Israelis. Ever since Palestine and Israel's independence, over thousands of Palestinians have been killed by Israelis, and these are only deaths that have been officially recorded. This is exactly like what was happening within Fahrenheit 451. Within the novel, the government ended up burning citizens, ended up burning the possessions of citizens, and ended up burning the homes of citizens who ended up going against the government, who had different beliefs to the government, who had different ideology to the government. This is the exact same thing within Palestine. Israeli officials and policemen and people are running over Palestinians. They're killing innocent children. They're burning Palestinians. They're burning down their homes. They're stealing their homes and giving it to Jewish people who aren't even from Israel. They're doing all of this. Yet when it happens to Palestine and Israel, Israel are seen as innocents. Whilst when it happens within Fahrenheit 451, it's seen as a dystopian society. Palestine and Israel, the conflict, what Israel are doing, Israel's beliefs, their future, it's the exact things a dystopian society has. The only difference is, within Fahrenheit 451, before when they tried to go against the government, they ended up being scared The difference is these brave people from Palestine, they're going against what the government are trying to do to them. And we need to make sure that their voices aren't only heard, but we need to make sure we take action. I believe that this has been happening, and the tension has been happening. It's been happening more because of movements such as the Black Lives Matter movement. However, another major reason is because of the attack on the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is regarded as the third house of Allah and the third holiest place within Islam. It contains the burial site of many important people from Islam. And because it was attacked during the month of Ramadan, the holiest month in the Islamic calendar, this, alongside many other incidents, prompted the media's attention. The attention to the situation is a step forward. However, to advance, we need to raise awareness and we need to boycott Israel's products. And the UN, alongside many other governments, should punish Israel so they can never do this again. It's in our hands. So do you want to save the lives of millions or ignore the cries of hope and let the world of millions burn away?